Hey everyone, guess what? We do not have ugly swag. We have spaced out radio gear that you're going to want to wear. Why? Because no one wants to wear ugly clothing. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and go shopping today. You'll be glad you did. And it's a great way to support our show. Once you get your gear, send us a picture of you rocking out in your SOR swag. spacedoutradio.com. Shop there today and make yourself look good.
Welcome everyone to Spaced Out Radio, a special edition of Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. We're going to have some guests here with us. We're going to have a nice, strong panel as we go ahead and take a look at Whistleblower, Jake Barber, and Ross Coulthard, the epic, hopefully epic interview that is to air on News Nation here in about 5 minutes. Guys, get your popcorn ready. There's going to be a video shown. Word is, and hopefully it's as clear as we need it to be in this moment. Let me go ahead and bring our panel up here on the screen. None other than Science Baba Rooney and Dave Scott.
I'm ready to hear Zach De La Rocha singing a Bulls on Parade so we can rally around the family with a pocket full of shells.
That's what I'm talking about. And Tom Whitmore is joining us as well. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Hello, Mr. Rob G.
Hopefully it's an epic. Hopefully it's an epic showing here, Tom. They supposedly have a video that shows retrieving an anomalous craft. Are you optimistic about that? How do you feel?
Wait and see. We'll just have to see. The only thing I may say this later. The main pattern I've noticed is that as soon as anyone comes out with a claim, there are people that jump all over it and try to debunk it. So I just kind of expect that.
Yeah.
But the stronger the evidence is, then the better.
This guy got DOPSR approval for his video.
Well, and that's almost a red flag right there. I thought the government was trying to keep this secret.
Yeah. That could be the twist. That could signify what we're going to be looking at here. Luscious Dave, as Julie Farrell says in the chat, how be you this afternoon?
Well, no matter what happens with this video, it's going to have a lot of controversy behind it. The debunkers and the skeptics are going to work their butts off to try and bring it down and rage all over it, if it's real. If we get another grainy, tic-tac type of situation where the video is, say, 5 seconds long, 8 seconds long, or whatever it may be, we're going to get absolutely roasted again. And I want this to be real. I really do, guys. I want it to be real. I want it to be clear. I'm trying to remain positive on this, but this is the kind of video that can once again put a lot of egg on the face of ufology. And it's a dangerous ploy when it comes out. You know, we've had night vision videos come out prior that have been absolutely shredded apart. We've had other videos that are grainy get shredded apart. What will this one be? And hopefully this is clear. Hopefully there's some lights on it. Hopefully it's not night vision, but we're going to see. But the length of it is what is going to very much interest me. How about you, Bob?
Well, so we saw a preview of a video, and it was 4K daylight, tether below the helicopter. Man, I hope most of it is like that, because I'm tired of BS just like everybody else is. And Ross knows that. He knows it.
You make a very good point there, Science Bob, being that this camera has to be mounted to the helicopter, and he says he's only about 150 feet above.
But that was a daylight. In the preview, it was a daylight 4K video.
Yeah, I know. I believe I saw him say that he used his night vision during the retrieval. So he would go back and forth, night vision, non-night vision, to look at this thing. So I think his encounter with the egg specifically may have been at night. But even with that being said, 150 feet, we should be able to see something significant. So hopefully, we got about 2 minutes before that show starts. And just can't wait to get into this, guys. Thanks for joining us today. This is a kind of impromptu show. We threw this together in order to cover this. We want to make sure that we have our finger on the pulse and that we're able to share the moment with you if it's as big as it looks like it could be. So get your popcorn ready, and hopefully this is a great moment. So we got about 1 minute left. Let me go ahead and bring the show up on the screen here. And we may be off and on the screen. Obviously, as you see at the bottom of the screen, this
make that
is
thing
fair
the big as
use.
you can make it.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't make it bigger than this, but I definitely want to make sure that everyone knows this is fair use, and this is a transformative work. We are here to analyze, to comment, to change this into a transformative work. And I think we can do that with the conversation we're going to have here tonight. Yes, questions, throw them all in the chat. Any opinions as we go through this video? There will be commercial breaks, I'm sure. So we'll be able to kind of come back on screen during those and maybe analyze the previous segment and go forward. And yep, you can't see it yet because we haven't put it up yet. We're about to do that right now.
And we recovered them and took them back to where they go. Now that is clearly technology that is certainly not known. I got within 150 feet of this object. We are not alone. We are not alone.
News Nation special report with Ross Coulthart hunting UFOs. The crash retrieval whistleblower starts right now.
Tonight, Barber.
Well, they're definitely building this up pretty loud and proud there for this as they go to commercial break on News Nation. And we just continue on with Sweet Robbie G, Tom Whitmore, researcher, Science Bob McGuire. Kind of Kind of interesting start there, Bob. Did you know any of those guys?
I have met the lieutenant colonel in the field.
Really?
Yep. I don't know any. I don't know any of the others. Tom and Rob, y'all are muted.
Okay, yeah, I agree. This is definitely interesting so far. Definitely a good lead up. So I'm feeling really good about the video that they are going to show. Like as Dave said, he's building that up. So hopefully it lives up to the hype. And yeah. And JSCO 77, this is you have to have a subscription to News Nation to view this.
I think it would be good if they had more people vouching for him.
Well, I think right now it's a little bit, tough to say because they're probably trying to keep this story quiet, not get it out there too much on who they were talking to. That's kind of a journalistic rule of thumb there, but I agree with what you're saying there, Tom.
I mean, they're not going to dox his witnesses, but he operated with them. They're firsthand witnesses with him.
Yeah. It's just in these types of claims, there's such a temptation to discount them and debunk them.
Oh yeah, I expect that. I'm expecting this. If this doesn't open a floodgate and they assess it's kind of dying off, they're going to dump all over it in some manner. What I hope is his current. He has a company that's helping with drones for the government, and I hope that he doesn't get beat up over that.
Kind of work Barber says he did after he left the Air Force as a private contractor, working for the defense industry and the US government at a secret location he calls range. That's where Barber and his team were asked to retrieve downed craft.
We lost the feed with Rob G. We're going to get that back here momentarily, and we will not allow anything to be missed by you guys. Let's get Rob back in here. Rob, you doing okay there?
Yeah, doing okay. Seems to be.
What do you say there, Rob? Let's bring in Tom and Bob back.
I'm blown away by that video. That is way more clear than I anticipated it being. And it was right there. And it kind of leans into my own experience with the 47 objects I captured who were basically the same shape. And I'm wondering if they were the same objects. Amazing.
Tom, what's your thoughts on everything?
Can't help but wonder if it is it like a tic tac or similar to a tic tac. Also, he said that he was operating on the so-called range where they test things. So it would seem to be quite a coincidence that an alien craft would be on their test range but more likely that maybe they were in some kind of cooperation and they were studying the object. Seems to me.
Bob, bring you in here for a second. Do you know where the range is? Is that at Area 51? I mean, the mountains, the photos and video that they use looks like Nevada.
I'm sure it's Nevada, but is it the Nellis test range or is it one of the areas up around Area 51? And northwest of Area 51, there is a reported, rumored, talked about a lot place where non-human intelligences reside, just like they do northwest of the Nellis test range. The tall whites that what's his name talks about. So but I got to tell you this: experiences, and I know experiencers, and I've heard Lila talk to me about, and that is the kind of feeling they get when they get with a really powerful entity.
I would agree with you on that. I mean, that part was very much what an experiencer would go through, the emotions, the connection with the craft. We've heard that all before from people like that. But, there's a lot of questions that still need to be, kind of projected here. And Rob, I know you're watching the feed, so we could go back onto it here. But I'm surprised that they are going down the psychic component of this all. That kind of blows me away a little bit that Ross Coulthart would do that on the report.
I agree. It seems to me that it would be good to gather as many facts regarding the actual recovery first before, getting into the psychic component.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying for the credibility. Rob, are we coming back here?
Yes, we are right about now.
Okay.
UAP's bad for your health. Coming up next.
Unmute, Dave.
Yeah, sorry about that. I am so used to being in control, and I'm overcutting you. That's my fault. I apologize. But for people just tuning in, as there's 815 people watching right now, there's myself, Rob G, and Science Bob McGuire, Tom Whitmore, hanging in here, breaking down this news report as we go. The psychic ability, I'm surprised they went there, but there is a lot being said that has been explained by a plethora of experiencers, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, there have been indications and rumors that the military has had an interest in people with and developing psychic abilities. Now, this goes obviously all the way back to the 70s with remote viewing, but you had experience and involvement by General Stubblebine's group back in the 70s and 80s. And, we hear these little rumors and stories that the military is interested in a psychic component. So it doesn't surprise me that would be a component of his experience, even though I agree with you, Dave, that it's a little surprising that they would go that heavy on it this soon.
And Bob, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm ready for the Band-Aid to be ripped off. I'm deeply into reading papers, understanding work that's been done by Dean Radin and many others. And the thing that ripped it all off for me was I listened to the telepathy tapes, and they ripped a blank off my memory. And I had savant-like episodes my entire life, and I realized what it implied, the logic of it. So I'm ready. I hope others are too.
Right. We just want to point out, thank you for watching this special edition of Spaced Out Radio this afternoon or evening if you're on the East Coast or Central Time Zone. Do us a favor if you can, hit subscribe, ring that bell, because between Rob and myself, we are here 7 days a week for your entertainment purposes and knowledge of everything UFO. So if this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for tuning us in. Please hit subscribe, ring that bell. We would greatly appreciate it because we want to do more of this as we wait for the News Nation report to come up once again on this, on Spaced Out Radio, that we are doing this great show tonight. Science Bob McGuire is with us. Tom Whitmore, researcher, is with us as well. And here we go. All right, let's move on here. Science Bob, Rob G, Tom Whitmore with us here. My name is Dave Scott. This is Spaced Out Radio Special Edition. Rob, we haven't heard from you here a little bit. When you're hearing that, what do you think he's talking about?
You're muted, Rob.
Thank you. And yeah, just getting into the threat from the government for all this coming out. I really, if that video is what it seems to be, and a lot of people seem to be underwhelmed in the chat for whatever reason, but I think it's the most awesome video, and I really think his safety is at risk at this point. This is a step above, the testimony that David Grush came with, and as explosive as that was. So this is literally riding that line of, okay, these are the craft. Now, where are they being stored? That's literally like the next step. So I do fear for this gentleman's safety, and as long as this video has been vetted and checked out and is known to come from the source that they state it comes from, then I think it's probably the best video that we have of something anomalous, and I'm excited about it.
Here's my thinking of it. Okay. In a lot of these test ranges, Bob, and maybe you could confirm this because you've been to some of these during your time working in intelligence, they all have bombing ranges. I mean, we've all can go on YouTube and watch videos of A-10 Thunderbolts or F-15 Eagles, with these boxes that are sitting in there as targets to try and train in on these sites. Without knowing what this could be, I mean, it could be he was carrying something where the radiation came from. We also know that the munitions in these areas for these drop zones are highly radioactive as well because of all the armament that goes in there. Could it be, if we play devil's advocate here, something that he was flying into these radiated areas without even knowing, because maybe that's just what his job entailed him to do?
I do not believe that to be the case. I do not believe he could fly accidentally into a training range and accidentally find radioactivity of a level that would cause that to him. I'm going to tell you something else. How many times do we have to have these personnel get harmed by this shit before it's standard operating procedure to assume this shit's going to happen? I'm tired of us hurting people because these are valuable people. They cost millions of dollars to train, and they're human beings. They deserve our support. That's what I'm waiting on.
That's what we're all waiting on there, Bob, as we welcome back Mr. Rob G, Science Bob McGuire, Tom Whitmore. Tom, your overall thoughts when he was talking about working in the Sierras. I mean, to me, that's northern Nevada, that he must have been doing some of this tracking around the Reno Tahoe type area.
Yeah, and there's another there's a proving ground up there. I can't remember the name of it, Bob. You probably know it, but it's basically contiguous with Area 51, with the Area 51 part of the state. And if you
can go find a map, and that's divided and now has all the numbers on the map. Area 51, and then there are other numbers around it.
Yeah, and I've driven through a lot of Nevada, and it's just extremely barren. and there's no problem in getting isolated out there and being far away from anything. I would like to say one thing though about his sickness. Area 51 has a track record of making people sick with all kinds of toxic chemicals. A lot of these craft, like the SR-71s, U-2s, they use exotic combinations of chemicals as fuel. And even I think the B-2, you can't even, or the stealth aircraft, you don't even want to touch it. It's so toxic. So I think to look at this rationally, from my point of view, we want to eliminate any conventional explanations before we go to the extraterrestrial, non-human explanation.
The thing I want to comment is I didn't see any indication that his pickup points or his drop points were on the range.
You're talking about the box, not the egg?
But the box and the egg. So the people from the range would want him separated from the range. So in other words, if it's typical, he would drop it off, make a contact, and leave, and somebody else would come in and get it. So there's no contact.
And let me say one thing about the box here. They have said in the past that they've used nuclear materials to attract these UFOs or UAP into a certain area. And there were accounts just like he mentioned there in the desert, I believe out in the Mideast during the war, where they had some guys guarding one of these containers, didn't know what was in it, but they felt like it was to attract these craft. And that might have been what they were doing there.
There is a difference. Those operators didn't get sick from radiation poisoning.
Well,
I'm just saying they could have gotten sick from, all these kinds of toxicities that go on out there.
News Nation, Monday.
I am sick of that last sentence in the first paragraph. I'm sick of it. No extraterrestrial evidence. I don't care about that. Tell me what you do know about it. What they know is it's not human.
Well, let's quickly say hello to Tom Whitmore, Science Bob. Rob G is here, as well as he's just looking into some, see if this is the end of the video. It's looking like that. It's an egg shape. It's an odd shape object. And that could be maybe from a smaller dimension, Bob, what the Tic Tac look like.
Yeah, it's not exactly what Fravor and Dietrich described. So I think this might be slightly an alternative, because what they said looked exactly like a Tic Tac lozenge, which is cylindrical with spherical ends. Cylinder with spherical ends on it, not an ovoid. So I don't think they're the same.
There's a couple questions that I have that I would like to get to you gentlemen here in your reaction. When he was talking in one of the segments about being up in the Sierras, obviously Nevada is filled with secret bases from all branches of the military. And they went after those computers after a crash retrieval and they were gone, and then said that they were being shot at.
No, they found evidence of a firefight. What he meant is somebody didn't police their brass, and they found it, and probably had a couple of things with clear pellet ricochets and so forth. Look, the desert is wide open. It could be foreign actors. It could be corporate actors. It could be our actors. There's no way to tell, because if a foreign actor came in here, they would use U.S. weapons and U.S. ammo to cover their tracks.
Tom, what's your thoughts?
Well, my first question was, when he was doing that at that time, was he working in the military or for a contractor?
I
Wow.
believe he was contracting at that time.
The last piece he talked about, he was working for the company he now belonged to under contract to somebody on the inside, government, etc. He's working for Skywatcher.
Then when he picked up the egg, was he in the military or was he working for a contractor?
He was, I don't know the answer. It's one or the other, but it was not for himself.
Okay. One syndrome in the intelligence community is his so-called contractor could be a front company.
Yeah, of course.
From
Absolutely.
one or more intelligence agencies. I know the CIA does that all the time. The NSA probably does, and I'm not saying it is, but it's a possibility. And that's why the contractor got so squirrely when he tried to get some answers.
From the way it was depicted, it wasn't a contractor because they were in uniform, unless that was a mistake.
Okay.
Well, there is a lot of intrigue about this
brand
video.
new video of an alleged UFO retrieval. This was never before seen until tonight in the last hour. A white egg-like object with no visible propulsion system or engine. Whistleblower Jake Barber sitting down with our News Nation special correspondent Ross Coulthard, breaking down shocking claims about the UFO crash retrieval program. For years, people like David Grush and Lou Elizondo.
All right, I think what they're doing is a recap, so the actual episode is over.
And we want to say thank you to everybody tuning us in on Spaced Out Radio here. This is a rarity for us. If you don't mind, if you haven't already, take the time to hit subscribe, ring that bell, because we are one of the big shows out there that loves to talk about UFOs all night long, and we do it 7 days a week with me Monday through Friday, Sweet Robbie G on the weekends. And, of course, we say thank you to Science Bob McGuire and Tom Whitmore for helping us out tonight as well, for their understanding and their thoughts of this report. Bob, in your time of working in the intelligence agencies, did you ever see a craft like this?
No. Not like that. I heard a USO and I saw a big one, but it was in clouds. So I have never seen anything like that.
Tom, in your time with MUFON, did you ever receive egg-shaped craft being seen?
There have been egg-shaped craft reported historically, through the UFO phenomenon, since the phenomenon became well known in 1947 on. And I'd also like to remind people that the alleged landing of a craft in Socorro was an egg-shaped craft.
Yep, the Lonnie Zamora saw an egg.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up.
So it's the reports have been there.
So with those reports, this is more than just, we can laugh about it being Mork from Ork, but no propulsion system on it, Bob. Would that mean that it could be battery operated, or I'm just saying, if it is a human technology, would it be battery operated, somehow have a generator that doesn't have any sort of propulsion to push out exhaust or anything like that?
Look, we have no idea how that thing works in the general public. There's lots of speculation and proposed theories, but all of them are kind of way up here. They're like equations, and occasionally somebody will do a little experiment and get a hint. There's nobody down here with a completely thoroughly done theory from which engineering can be done that I know of out in the open. Now, there's a purported anti-gravity and non-propellant system of motivation by this NASA engineer who claims to be able to use electrostatics and generate 1 G of acceleration with no propellants. And I'm ready for that thing to come out, because I did a calculation, just so everybody knows, and I put it on X, and the calculation was with 1 G of acceleration leaving the Earth, I could travel to and go into orbit around Pluto in 21 days.
Okay. Here's the thing, though. Like, once again, part of my job as a journalist is to be, a little bit play devil's advocate here for a second. Here's what wasn't said that caught my attention. He was told to take him and his crew to pick up an object. We don't know if that object was flying. We don't know if it was a stationary object on the ground. We don't know if it was a UFO. That is, I think, a big hole in the story, is that we don't know if it was something that came crashing down from the sky or had a mechanical failure and landed there. We don't know if it was just put there as, the military has weird things out in the battle in the test ranges. You know that, Bob, from being out there. Tom, you've talked to a lot of people about that. So to me, that's a big hole in the story of how that thing got there, because that wasn't explained. Now, I'm not saying it isn't what it isn't. Okay, I want it to be a UFO. Okay, but to me, that's a little bit of a hard trip there, knowing that we don't know what called them there. Like, pilots get called to pick up things all the time. We just don't.
That one thing where he did the pickup and got it on video, he was inferring that it was a UFO that got brought down, because after that, he got involved in summoning and retrievals.
I agree with you on that. I'm just playing the devil's advocate here on everything that people who are going to be skeptical may want those questions answered.
We have no idea how it got where he picked it up. We have no idea. And he didn't tell us because he didn't see it.
I thought he mentioned somewhere during this that this object landed. Now, I don't know if he was talking about the egg in particular or one of the future objects that he encountered, but I know he did discuss an object landing specifically.
Yeah, he discussed being involved with summoning and seeing it landing, and then involved in picking it up.
Okay.
Because that's when he met the people doing psionics. When he did the original pickup, I don't think he had met them yet.
Well, I mean, there's too many things that point to historical cases, for especially a lot of people within ufology who are. I'm just looking through the comments. A lot of people kind of trying to poo-poo this, but it does line up with a lot of historical reports, and history is an indicator. I mean, we have to lean on that to know what it is that we're looking at. And I could point to 1,000 cases where those sort of objects were captured in the sky. My objects were spherical, oblong-shaped craft that had these little black pipe objects sticking out the bottom and out of the top of them. I have freeze frames of them, and I'll probably show them on a future show. But, I'm pretty intrigued on what they showed. It lined up with my own particular sighting very well. And with, just like they stated, some of those famous UFO videos that were released through the DOD line up with this as well. The Tic Tac conversation with Fravor lines up with this as well. A lot of things that line up with what we just saw to walk away from this and not give it any credibility.
All four of us and everybody in the audience, they want the Lonnie Zamora experience. The egg is on the ground with 4 legs out, and ETs open the door and come out and wave. We're not there yet.
Yeah. And I would like to know how, I'm sure Ross will talk more about, how they validated this video and why this video should be considered authentic. If they give me that and it lines up, the credibility is there, then that's what we have. We have essentially what they showed. And
So we saw a note or email or whatever response from Susan Goff where the first paragraph was, "This evidence has been shown to Arrow." But I don't believe anything that woman says.
No.
Well, and I personally have the opinion that the Pentagon, the government, has had a long-term policy of denial and deception.
Straight up lying. And that's because they can't mention the waived unacknowledged special access program. They can't mention it. And they are required by their NDAs to lie. That's in writing.
And, there have been examples of it in the past. For example, I've been doing a lot of reading about the U-2 program during the 50s, and Eisenhower is very reluctant to order flights over the Soviet Union because he was scared to death they would be shot down. But they were fully prepared to just flat out lie and deny it. And when it was shot down, they said that it was a weather research aircraft. So,
and their greatest disappointment was he didn't take his cyanide.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother story. He caused some problems.
So where do we go from here, guys? I mean, this past week we had two different whistleblowers come out, Randy Anderson and now Jake Barber. It took years to get David Grush to come out. Prior to that, it was Lou Elizondo. Do we see a rush going on here, Tom, Rob, either of you, about maybe this is the start of more whistleblowers coming through?
Well, I hope it is. And the more people that will come out, I think overall it creates the impression of more credibility, to the overall claim that the government's involved in this kind of stuff. But there are real barriers to people coming out because they justifiably are concerned about their privacy and any legal implications that they could get into, in disclosing things. And you look at what's happened to Grush. I mean, Grush was he was doxxed, by Klippenstein in that article that he was drinking and he had mental problems and all this kind of thing. I mean, who wants to go public and be subjected to that? These journalists and these so-called muckrakers are going to go through every little thing in your background and find something, that they can trash. But I hope that more people will come out, and the more that do come out, I think more credibility will accrue to the
I think all of the people that are really pent up and waiting were hoping the UAP Disclosure Act amendment would pass to the NDAA and they would have nothing further to worry about. And it just hasn't happened. I think we're going to get some brave souls come out, but the vast majority of them are going to hide until they get cover.
And it's interesting that the Speaker of the House fired the gentleman that was running the House Intelligence Committee. And he was a stumbling block to the passage of that, wasn't he, Bob?
Yes, but Rogers is still a stumbling block, and he's still head of the armed services. The two of them got in the way. Turner got all the blame because he's the congressman for Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and took a lot of money from aerospace contractors. Rogers is from Alabama. He is on the chief of the Armed Services Committee, and he's still there and will do the Pentagon's bidding.
Yeah, and I think as far as whistleblowers go, I think future whistleblowers, I mean, as I said earlier, how much closer can you get to put actual disclosure than what we just had right here? If this all checks out, this is all still fresh. We haven't vetted this. We watched it with everyone else live. So we don't know for sure what the the basis of where they got this video and what was the chain of custody for this video. So we'll find all that out in the coming days. But for future whistleblowers, at the level that he just came out with, if this all checks out, the only other thing is to point to where these things are being held. And I think
and
a
go
whistleblower
inside and see them.
and go inside and see them. And I think any whistleblower that's at least at this level is going to watch how he is treated. And, at this level, you would think this type of whistleblower would potentially, if the government were going to try to off anyone or do something nefarious, then we would keep our eyes on this guy. I think he's fully protected now that he's out in the spotlight like this. And I think that'll give a lot of hope for future whistleblowers to feel comfortable enough to come out and add to the story.
Very surprised his contracting entity is now working for the government. And I don't think it can be Arrow. That begs the question, who is it for?
Exactly.
What do you guys think of Sean Kirkpatrick coming out yesterday and saying that they never saw the report?
He is a proven, known liar.
Yep.
Proven, known liar. He lied in front of Gillibrandts and Jody Ernst 3 times on stuff that was already on the record. He should be charged.
It doesn't surprise me, Dave.
No.
There can't be a crack in the dam, because if there's a crack, the water's going to come pouring out.
And there'll be nothing they can do to stop it once the crack opens.
Yeah, the cat gets out of the bag, the barn door opens, and you can't unring the bell.
What we're seeing now is people with ball peen hammers walking up to Hoover Dam and smashing on the concrete. They're not on the other side where all the water is.
Yeah. How do you feel about it, Dave? What is your overall perspective?
I like the video. I did.
I loved it.
I was hoping that we would see something clear. We got something clear. What it is, I don't know. I'm not ready to call it a UFO, but the consciousness connection was so familiar to me from my own experiences and from talking to so many other experiencers out there who have had the same type of connection where it's very emotional. It's very surreal when you're that close and personal. Now, the radiation side of everything, I think that may have been from where he was flying. I don't know if that came from the crap, but we also have evidence that other people, like Stefan Mikulik in the Falcon Lake incident, have been burned by this radiation. But I also know people who have worked at secret places, as you have, Bob, and Tom, I'm not sure if you have, knowing that when they go out into certain areas of those fields, that they are having to wear hazmat suits in order to make sure that they don't have any sort of radiation contamination on themselves. So
yes, they're not protecting these guys. Pissed off.
Well, if they flew into an area where there was radiation and maybe they weren't told about it, or maybe that they were just said, hey, let's take a quick shortcut, that could have done it too. But we don't know, and we'll never know, unfortunately. But do I believe that that video is awesome? Absolutely. I love the video.
Yep.
Well,
I love the fact that they got a video with their own equipment, their own summoning, with their own psionics person, and got an egg in a frame. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it's something. At least he presented something as evidence. And I'm sure that video will be gone over 1 million times.
With a fine-tooth comb. And look, people will be looking for any evidence of faking in the noise statistics in the sky and all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah. And it remains to be seen whether it stands up to scrutiny.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right now, I bet it will.
you point out another great point, Bob, when you talk about the contractor, right? He worked for the contractor who the government contracted. So he can tell us exactly what that entity is, or what the name of that company is. Then we have the smoking gun on who is out here retrieving these craft. So
But again, he's probably still bound by a non-disclosure agreement on giving out the name of that company.
Quick question for you. What do you think about the idea that, that he is getting death threats about this incident? Is that normal?
I did not hear him say that he got a death threat. I heard him say that he had evidence that there had been firefights and other things, and he felt like he was in danger.
He said that in a couple of different spots, not only on this video, but when it was kind of released yesterday, that he was worried for his safety and his life.
Yeah, I believe it, because that's the track record of them trying to keep this secret.
Well, and when you get into this kind of thing, I mean, it seems natural that you'd be concerned about things. You'd be concerned about your own security for a number of reasons.
There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that when Harry Truman started the national security state and Dwight Eisenhower took over and set up all this work, that the extreme sanction was allowed to keep secrets from the Soviet Union, especially after they detonated a nuclear weapon.
What about the other videos, guys, that they showed when they were trying to summon craft? The gentleman trying to summon craft almost with using the Estes method. I thought that was
the thing was great was they got a frame with a clear egg in it, but that film needs to be analyzed in detail.
Rob, what was your thoughts of that?
it was classic CE5 footage for me. It lined right up with other accounts and videos that purport to show CE5 activity, and it just lines right up. And I think that's enough. I think when you really look at it and you just use your logical brain and you use your common sense and line up with historical events, I think what we were shown today lines up perfectly with everything that we have known to be within the things that you would consider anomalous or UFOs. Nothing at this point that leads me to believe that it's anything but that. But as you say, I mean, we watched this live together, so we definitely want to wait before rushing to judgment. But everything at this moment points to things that we historically have captured.
I wish I have one regret in all of this experience and interaction with all this stuff. My one regret is I did not have a camera and microphone on Lala the night she made contact, and the rapturous look on her face and her description of the unconditional love and joy she felt and tears coming down her face. It was exactly what he described. I've seen it happen to a person, and that's hard to fake.
It's very hard to fake. Rob, I guess we should probably take this and wrap this up at the bottom of the hour here. We've got about 5 minutes left. I mean, can you tell us about what you and Drew Banky are going to be talking about tonight?
We'll probably get into some more of this. I have awesome footage to show from my own sighting, because I really feel that it may tie into this. And then just other examples. I've drawn these objects. I've described them in previous shows as being spherical, metallic, white, oblong. And what I just saw for me lined up with that. And then if these things end up being the same thing, it's just to show that there are actually fleets of these things that are flying around our skies. So that we'll be getting into that, I'm sure, tonight.
You remember the gimbal video, and remember what the pilot said. Look at the ASA. There's a whole fleet of them.
Quickly hear your guys' thoughts on the fact that He said that he did take the report to the UAPTF. The files from UAPTF when it was shut down were allegedly to go to Arrow. Arrow and the Pentagon are saying there's absolutely no paperwork or investigation on this case. In fact, they were telling, once again, getting back into Sean Kirkpatrick, claiming to Stephen Greenstreet from the New York Post that they never had anything on that. They've never seen the case. The Pentagon is denying this as well. Just your overall thoughts on that, Tom.
Somebody's lying. Either Mr. Barber's making this up and making a bunch of claims that have no basis in reality, or somebody in the Pentagon level is not there. They could be telling the truth and that they can't find anything, or they could be, somebody could be lying and saying they don't have anything when they did or do.
I wish we could get Jay Stratton to make a comment.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
But we get into the syndrome where people are making claims that at least nominally should know something about what they're talking about, and then the Pentagon just flat out denying it.
Yeah. I'm totally satisfied with today's broadcast and today's presentation. I trust that Ross Coulthard has done the due diligence and looked into all these things and answered a lot of the questions that we have, and I'm sure those will be addressed over the coming days. So I'm sure our opinions may shift a little bit on what it is that we saw and how we feel about it. But just right off the bat, the reaction is that we were shown something pretty epic. If it turns out to be what it is, I'm satisfied with it. And I'm sure we'll be talking about this for who knows how long to come.
Rob, thank you for putting this together for us on Spaced Out Radio, my man.
Anytime, buddy. Anytime. Pleasure.
And let's say a big thank you to Science Bob and Tom Whitmore, researcher extraordinaire. And if you're new here, I know we got 900 people in here right now. If you're new here, do us a favor. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, ring that bell, because we are here 7 days a week for your listening entertainment. And I am here Monday through Friday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. Sweet Robbie G is in here on the weekends, and he fills in for me sometimes. From 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday nights. And we love being able to broadcast to you guys about the weird and strange and all the UFO news each and every night. So, Robbie, I turn it over to you. Thank you for an exciting last 90 minutes, my man.
Awesome stuff, guys. Thank you guys all for coming in. Another epic show, and we will talk soon.
Thank you, Rob, Dave, and Bob.
All right, Tom, take care.
Okay, good night.
Good night. All right, old Davey boy. Just you and I.
Can we just give a quick shout out to our super chatters here? Vaughn Patrick, Area 53, Wes Decker, Boo the Beagle, Tim Mothman and his goatee, and Conversations with Spirit. Thank you very much for the great love and support tonight, everybody.
Definitely. And you guys make sure you come back tonight. We'll be doing some more discussion on this. I'll be posting the show here shortly. And I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about what we saw tonight. And let's do it. So until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Take care as we get up out of here like this. You ready, Dave? Ready to go?
Ready. I'm ready.
All right.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.